Welcome to Keeper's Corner, where every week we will pick a selection of goals from the weekend's action and describe and analyse exactly why we feel they could have been preventable. Now, we need to say a massive thank you for all of your comments, all of the interaction from the last video. It seems, Watto, that they absolutely love a little bit of goalkeeper analysis.
Absolutely, guys. Keep the feedback coming. We really appreciate that. And we're going to try and develop the show as we go along and give you a little bit more insight into historical moments that have dominated in the Premier League and even European fixtures.
And that starts today as well, because we've got an historical goal that it was massive, wasn't it?
A massive goal that we think could have been preventable. The Premier League could have gone to somebody else's hands.
Exactly that. We've got 4 goals from this weekend's action and 2 saves of the weekend as well. It starts all, though, Watto, at Wembley Stadium, Coventry versus Manchester United. I was actually at this game. What a game. What an atmosphere. It had absolutely everything. But the first goal, we've got to talk about the first goal. It was Bradley Collins in goal for Coventry. Scott McTominay with the finish. Break it down for me, Watto, because I think the ball has gone under Bradley's arms a little bit here, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, you know, in an FA Cup semi-final, the first goal was going to be massive. And as a goalkeeper, you don't want to be involved necessarily in a moment like this. But I think because it's such a big occasion, if you just look at the movement just before Dalot crosses the ball, he takes an extra step to his left, which is a real safe and comfortable position. But the ball's never going to beat him inside that left-hand post.
If he stays there as he is now, so before he takes that step to left, if he would have just stayed there, that is basically about perfect, isn't it?
Perfect.
He can't get beat at that near post, and anything that's cut inside of that 6-yard box, you'd fancy him to be able to comfortably take, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. You can see there's a corridor there in between him and his back four, and that's where Dalot's looking to put the ball. He's never, ever looking to beat him inside that post, so you've got to be a little bit braver. Your team needs you to be a little bit braver. So the first mistake is he's got sucked into that near post. We speak about it a lot. It's a real safe position. You don't want to get beat at that near post, but you've got to hold and be braver, and now you've got to help your team out.
Also, as well, whilst he's in this position, before he takes that step to the left, I think you've got to look at the person who's about to cross the ball in as well. You've got to read his body position, you've got to watch his eyes. They're tiny little details, these things there, but you can pick up so much information from just watching his body language, watching his eyes as he looked at your near post. Because if he looks at your near post, you're thinking, you're trying to put it there, aren't you? You're trying to put it there. But if he hasn't once looked up at you, you know for a fact he's just whipping it across there.
He's just firing.
You can second guess it a little bit, but the problem, the first mistake basically, is that he takes that step to the left. But then from there, the ball is whipped across. Take over, Watto.
So when the ball's whipped across, you have to, in your mind as a goalkeeper, think that the actual goal has changed its shape because you're not defending that ball now. The goal's actually across your 6-yard box. So the 6-yard line can, in some ways, strangely, that's your post.
Yeah.
That's the area you've got to defend. Because if you did a shot stop in practice and asked you to defend that 3 or 4 yard space to your right, you'd come across, lovely shape, 1 or 2 hands depending on the pace of the ball and how you see it.
Yeah.
But you'd get across and you'd cover it. But weirdly, because the goal's behind you, you see it differently. But you can't see it differently. Your body line, your attack's still got to be the same. And you imagine it's a shot stop in action rather than a cross in action.
Exactly that. Like I say, if that goal was onto the side like that and that ball goes under your arm, this is a big mistake. It's just gone under your arm, basically, hasn't it? As simple as that. The reason why I think the ball has gone under his arm is because the second that he dives into that position there, he knows he's going to have players rushing into him. He knows his defenders coming into him. He knows the attackers running into him. And they won't feel bad about kicking you, will they? They won't feel sorry for standing on your hand or standing on your head or something like that. And it's human nature to almost kind of sort of close off a little bit, sort of close your eyes, take your eyes off it. And that's where the mistake comes from, isn't it?
I think there's a little thing there where everybody who's watching this show and goalkeepers like we all are and we were obsessed by the detail, you know when you go to ground as a goalkeeper, you're very vulnerable.
Yes.
Very vulnerable to an attacker being aggressive towards you. So I think he's a little bit wary of contact for sure. I think he's taking his eye off the ball because he sees his defender coming across his eye line. That movement across his eye line compounded with the fact he's now vulnerable, he's up the ground, thinking he might get a contact against him, and he's just taking his eyes off the ball. And I'll go back to the point, if we flip the goal on its side, and that's a normal practice in a little small goal, and you're trying to defend that 6-yard box, he saves that 100 out of 100.
Every day of the week.
But the movement across him from the defender, a little bit worried about the contact. This is the most basic thing in terms of goalkeeping. You have to have have a look at the ball. You have to see the ball.
Even if he can't get two hands on the ball and stop that, you have to get something on it. You have to either get a one-hander, know the contact's going to come, and just go, do you know what, I'm just going to go one hand then, and I'm going to get as much of the big contact, and it almost goes back that way in the corner.
As soon as you dive to cut that ball across the face of the goal, you have to get a contact.
You have to get a contact.
Otherwise, 99 out of 100, there's somebody there behind you to push.
Exactly that. And it comes down to this is goalkeeping in a nutshell. It's bravery. It's knowing that you might get your head kicked, but still, you're just going to have to go, you know what? This is what I signed up to.
That's what goalkeeping is. This is what
I signed up to. I'm going to get my head kicked in here, but you know what? I'm going to hold on to the ball and it's going to feel lovely and warm in my hands for a few seconds. It was a shame, really. Do you know what? I thought he had an absolutely brilliant game and I was really impressed with him. We're going to talk about a save that he makes actually later in the game. A proper save as well. Okay, second goal comes from Craven Cottage. It was Liverpool's third goal, Diogo Jota. I saw the goal go in and I saw Bernd Leno backtracking, and then it seems to me like he's just done a little bit too much footwork, a little bit too many steps, tracked over too far basically. But then when he's gone down, Watto, he just hasn't been able to make the save, has he?
No. I think the first image we see here, this is part of the game of modern goalkeeping. He's not high outside his box, obviously, in this position, but he's still not in that normal working area with inside your 6-yard box. So you can see he's at 10 yards. He's got a good body shape for if the through ball would have been his. He's dropping diagonally. The hard thing at this point is you lose your bearings in the goal because you're not quite sure now. And his first mistake is always, as Jota's going in a straight line, he's still tracking to his right. And he ends up not covering much of the goal.
He's too far over. I think he's tracked too far diagonally to the right, hasn't he?
It's the hardest thing. And for somebody of his experience, you would assume that his experience would have told him at some point, as the ball's rolling away from Jota in a straight line, that's the bit where you have to be brave and stop your tracking because you end up defending nothing of the goal. So he's over-tracked, just got caught, what we talk about a lot, slightly moving.
Yeah, he's not fully set. He's not fully
set. And then as you see here, as he tries to chop his left leg away to get that extension of his right arm. Left arm, it's like a millisecond too late. And then when you see the picture from behind the goal, it's in the middle of the goal again. So it's over-tracking, not getting the push and the chop away with his left leg, and he's fractionally out then, as you see him chop there, the left arm, but it's too late.
I reckon, in Bernd Leno's head, I'd love to have an access to Bernd Leno and say, what did you think at this moment in time? Because I reckon, even at that point there, he would have thought, I'm saving this. I can still save this. And then the ball's gone through his hand and it's still gone in the back of the net. And I think he would have been really disappointed with that.
I think he'll be really disappointed. And if I went back into coaching full-time, or even if I started to take a session, these are the kind of actions that you have to create now. You don't necessarily have to have your goalkeeping session starting when you're starting at 20, 30 yards outside your box. But the reality is you've got to be on that front foot, side on. Through ball's not mine. I've got to flatten off diagonally, but I've got to learn when to stop tracking the ball, set, and then from that set position, it's easier if you're turning your left foot and you're pushing and to be dynamic into the save. But if you're chopping, you've got to chop and you've got to then be dynamic with a top half movement and get that left hand down.
We spoke a minute ago about he didn't fully get set, did we? Did he? And there's going to be times, especially top level, especially Premier League, where you're not going to get fully set.
No, they finish so early.
They finish so early sometimes, but you have to be in a position where you can still be dynamic enough to push off or to move or to get down, kick a leg away, something.
He has to be fully set there so that there's not over much pressure on his right leg. Because when he's got more pressure on his right leg, he has to balance up again before he can chop. So if you're perfectly set there, he chop really quick, but he has to stabilise the right leg first before the left leg chops. And it's milliseconds there that stops the left leg chopping and then the left hand getting down there.
I need to reiterate once again, this is never ever going to be a goalie bashing exercise, all right? We are talking about the finest little details. This goal is a perfect example. It is the minutest of millimetres. That's what we're talking about. But that's the difference. Absolutely. At the top level, these players will punish you. They'll expose any type of little weakness or any imperfection or flaw in your execution of what you do. That's what they will
He's
exploit.
A top goalie, Bernd Leno, and this may well have a big bearing in the championship race because obviously Liverpool end up 3-1 at this point and the game's gone for them. But he will have done this a lot of times in practice, you would assume, with the goalkeeping coaches. But this is why it's important to learn from this. You can recreate that session straight away. Yeah. Drop in, don't keep tracking the line of the ball, set, and then learn to become really sharp when you make your save.
Okay, Watto, third goal comes from Selhurst Park. It's an absolute stinker. Dean Henderson, I absolutely love you. This is horrible. Basically, ball back. It actually goes down as an own goal, doesn't it? Poor lad. Who was the one that scored the own goal? Tarek Mitchell, poor lad. It goes down to no goal. He's played the ball back. It's not a fantastic ball back, but Dean Henderson knows that with this, he has to deal with this, doesn't he? He has to do something proper, get a real contact on it. He doesn't. He tries to be clever, ends up going under his foot.
Yeah, I mean, look, from a Crystal Palace point of view, Tyreek Mitchell doesn't want it going down as an own goal for sure. It's a poor back pass, but look, we talk about the art of modern goalkeeping, and you have to deal with that ball.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Watto. Jamie, this morning, we were talking about some of the goals we're going to go through, and he went, yeah, but in fairness, it's a rubbish back pass. And I went, Jamie, listen, I agree, it is, yeah, but your defence can't be, it was a rubbish back pass. Look, you have to deal with it.
It's a poor back pass, but you have to deal with it. We're talking about Premier League goalkeepers, and we know the ability that these lads have got with the feet now, for sure. Ultimately, look, there's a semi-press, but it's not a massive press. And you've just got to make sure, A, you get a good contact on the ball out of your feet, and then you hopefully have a safe option to pass out to your right, or you're looking three-quarter ball up the field and you're driving the ball up the field. But you cannot... it's a bit like Collins, what we spoke about the first goal. Yeah. If you take your eye off the ball on a back pass or a ball across you, these are the results that happen. And ultimately, don't worry about the forward coming at you. You now touch,
bang,
and it's gone.
Even if you kick it out over there for a throw-in,
and if you have a poor touch at this point, and the West Ham player is closing you down, so you know you can't play through him, just play safe to the side.
Simple.
Make a centre half, make another angle for you, or it's out for a throw-in.
I think first and foremost, what he's done is, a lot of goalkeepers in that position would have just gone for the first-time clearance. Yeah. Would have gone straight, boom, boot through it, no messing around, no hassle, sweet as it. What he's tried to do is he's tried to be a little bit clever, which you can't blame him for, to be fair. He probably had time to take a touch and then pass it out. But that little split-second decision where he changes from doing it first time, and his body language was trying to imitate that he was going to do it.
And then the whole picture closes
Exactly. He then tries to go and be a bit clever with it to try and hide that he's going to take a touch. Then he goes to execute the touch, and that's where he takes his eye off the ball goes under his foot. So that's what I can say. Sometimes better to put your foot through the ball, Put it into Rose Ed. They can't score from Rose Ed.
And you can always say to Tyreek Mitchell afterwards, I really didn't appreciate that pass, but it's better when it's not in the back of you.
Okay, another one from Selhurst Park. This time it's Crystal Palace scoring. Lucas Fabianski in goal. And this is really interesting, this goal, Watto, because there's so much detail in this, right? There's so many tiny little movements, steps, body positions that really do contribute to the goal going in the back of the net, isn't it? So it's a ball into the box from Anderson. Talk me through Fabianski, what he's thinking, his position, what he's looking at.
Well, you see, as the balls come out, it's second phase from a set play. Hughes wins it on the edge of the box, and he's in a real good position here. When Hughes first gets the ball, he's ready to make a save from a shot.
He's about 3.5, 4 yards out, isn't he?
Yeah, and everything's really comfortable. But this is goalkeeping. There's now going to be so many moving parts from Hughes's ball into Anderson. This is where we really start dissecting everything that happens. So the ball's gone in there. And look at that position to start with now. He's got to read when Hughes plays that ball into Anderson that there is nothing else happening than a cross ball.
It's not even just a cross ball, it's a floaty cross ball. You know what's coming, don't you?
And when it's a floaty cross ball, you know that's your ball. So you can't be in that safe position in that near post area. You should have also been opened up to have seen that you're getting a 2v1 at the back post. Yeah. Your fullback needs some help, but you can never get there from that safe position. But I didn't think you were playing it safe. He just didn't read the game quick enough and use his experience. This angle's perfect.
He drops from 3.5 yards to 2.5 yards, and that's the bit that kills him there.
And he tracked the ball into Anderson. He didn't need to track it, hold it. But when he's in that position now, he knows he's made a clanger of a mistake, and he's praying for the goalkeeping gods to save him.
Please go over the bar.
But with the modern game as well, when you start to fly here, if actually at this point that ball gets headed wide, it's a penalty.
It's a penalty, yeah. You're still giving a penalty away either way, aren't you?
So you have to accept now, so if you talk about goalkeeping coaching and learning to educate the guys in the goal, the ones where you could fly out last minute, last ditch and be really brave, take the lot, and if he headed it wide, you've survived. You ain't surviving.
No, it don't work like that anymore.
No,
it don't work.
VAR's
That many cameras, yeah.
And it's a penalty. But you can see when you, from the start of that clip, how far he's got to cover.
Yeah.
It is impossible.
The damage is done here. So this is where the damage is done. Look at Lucas. He's 3.5 yards, right? Yeah. The second the ball ends up at Anderson's feet, look at Anderson's body position, right? He can't score in that near post, can he? No chance on this earth, right?
He's not set and he's sucked into the post.
Exactly. He sank into the near post, hasn't he?
You've got to hold to your left and be high. Don't give him that working distance. It doesn't matter whether you're 6'5" or 6 foot. When that ball's floated in, your back four want you to come for it.
Exactly that. And his body position, it suggested the only thing he was going to do is do that floaty little cross. It's going to be the in-swinger. So if you are, I'd say if Lucas was a step and a half on the diagonal in towards the centre of his goal, so he would be at about 4 yards, 3.5, 4 yards, all of this trouble is avoided.
Gone.
All of this trouble is avoided. He comes out, he gets it. Even if he doesn't catch it, he can get an easy punch on it, he would win it. But it's that instance between the ball going from Will Hughes to Anderson, where he sank just another step towards his near post, that's what killed him.
And here, he's a fantastic frame, Lucas. But he's getting smaller and smaller and smaller as he's chasing the action.
Yeah.
And he knows he's dead in the water.
Yeah.
And I touched on it. You need the goalkeeping gods to be on your side. And unfortunately, the fullback's not stopped the run. And we can talk about loads of things. But he's never getting that ball because he didn't read the situation early enough to give himself the best chance to be in a position to come and help his fullback. And when you're chasing like that,
it's horrible.
You're in big trouble.
Yeah, Lucas has gone from running out to thinking, I might be able to catch this, to I might be able to punch this, to, oh my gosh, I've just got to hope for the best here.
And he's virtually 4'2".
This is, honestly, I do not miss playing football for this exact reason, right? It is so tough. Being a goalie, Watto, is so tough. Like you say, we've just seen 4 goals there where every one of them, you can break it down to the tiniest little detail. You're talking half a step here, quarter step, hand position.
Yeah.
But there's the difference. It's the difference between being able to make a save and not being it. And it comes down to that. It's as simple as that. And you're talking split seconds as well. It's such a tough job.
This is a guy that's played at the top level and really
without
experienced.
Doubt. Yeah.
And he's still, at that point, he's thinking, he knows halfway to that ball, I've got sucked in there. I've not held high. I've gone into my front post area. And the team need me at this point, and I can't help him from that position. He can't help him.
Yeah. Okay, what we mentioned at the beginning of the show, a big moment, a big historical moment that might have changed the course of the Premier League, the destiny of some big teams. And it's this moment here. One of the best pieces of punditry you will ever hear. Martin Tyler, it's Sergio Aguero's goal, Man City against QPR 2012. Paddy Kenny in goal. Talk me through it.
I think we've put this clip on because the commentary is legendary. We know Alex Ferguson and his team are on the pitch at the Riverside Stadium.
We're watching.
They're expecting the whistle to go and be crowned Premier League champions. And the history maybe of even Manchester City changed on this very moment. Look, Paddy Kenny's in a good position. He's worked across the line of the goal here. For me as a goalkeeping coach, I'd talk about being in control of your hands a little bit better and maybe not being too low here.
Yeah, I think he's a little, for me, I'd say, we're talking that, that, sure. About 4 or 5 inches, a little bit higher, probably though he's in optimal position.
Yeah, in terms of working distance, great. We know, you know more than me, you've faced Aguero. This guy, short, stocky, very little backlift. He's going to hit this ball as hard as he possibly
he's banging it. He's going to get it out of his feet and he's going to bang it.
So he's going to bang it. It's the last action virtually of the game. And if you just rewind that, Jay, just a touch, you see Paddy Kenny, he drops his hands at that moment.
They're virtually on his boots.
They're virtually on his boots. And look at Aguero. That is head down, power, no finesse. He's going to take your head off or the goal is going to burst. This is to win the Premier League title. And you've dropped low. he needs to hit you here, or you've got no reaction time to get your hands into
The
a
problem
position.
I've got with hands being so low like that is that we used to say it to some of the young goalkeepers. I used to see young goalkeepers do that, and I'd say, listen, when you're that close and you're working that somebody's shooting from 12 yards, right? Not even that, it's probably 9 yards, yeah? There's no point in having your hands too low there. You've got your feet there, okay?
That's the modern save, isn't it?
Leave your feet there, and if you can, get a little block with your foot. Open your foot up, get that. Use that for the low saves, right? But you've got to have your hands at least by where your knees are, at least, maybe even a little bit higher. Because anything here, like I say, you're talking from 8-9 yards, he's going to be hitting this ball at 60, 70 mile an hour, Watto. You've got very little reaction time. So all you can hope is it'll be within this area or just outside it. So you might be able to just push something out.
Give yourself a chance with your hands and make the save with your foot, leg, block.
If it comes down there.
If it comes down there. But that's a real good angle to see. He were really low. And here we go. The Exocet missiles coming. And obviously, look, ultimately, pace goes through him and he dives inside the line of the ball because the pace is too much for him.
This is another big thing I used to say to goalies and some of the young lads is you cannot fall back in this position. You cannot have your body weight falling backwards, right? At this point here, you need to go, right, I'm going to back myself. I have got to stand and I am going to go, right, it either hits me in the chest and I just stand there and take it, or I put my arms out and just hopefully I can spread myself, or I can try and react to it.
If it comes across me, I get a little right to him.
Exactly that. But what you cannot do is put all your body weight backwards and almost fall into the back of the goal. Because even if you do get a touch in it, like he does, the ball is still going to go in the back of the net because that's where your body weight's going as well.
If he would have been higher and set, we talk about it in the set position, shoulders just above the knees, weight, it's all in a minuscule moment. But if he wouldn't have dropped as low and he would have trusted he could have used the foot save to make anything across him, I think because he's just outside the line of the post in his positioning is good. It's his weight transfer that allows Aguero's power to go through him. And you see his left hand move just on contact here, bang, and he's inside him. And now as he got a shove and push to his left, he's inside the line of the goal and it's in. And that is a massive moment in Premier League history and Manchester City's history. And hey, look, that would have been a real tough save.
That would have been a world-class save.
At any time. But what we've tried to do for this show is provide moments of goalkeeping history. And this is a massive moment in goalkeeping history that potentially could have gone the other way.
And once again, we're not saying he should have saved it. What we're saying is this is what he could have done.
To give himself the best chance.
There you go, Watsky. Right, we've got to finish with 2 world-class saves from the weekend. OK, then Watto, Jordan Pickford against Nottingham Forest. It is 1-0 at this moment in time. Chris Wood, back post, ball gets deflected to him. Talk to me about this save.
This is a moment that we should all think about because there's, again, so many moving parts. So here we see him in a real good position as Gibbs White's going to have a contact, what he believes, on his own goals. At that moment, good working distance, in control. Gibbs White doesn't get the cleanest of finishes, but look at the speed and the contacts across the goal. Head position and he's working. He's taking 2 or 3 steps to cover the distance across the goal.
All in control as well.
All in control.
He's not flinging all over the place. He's not dying. He's all in control of all that movement.
And his head is bone still. Focused on that football. And this is the pivotal moment now as to why you make a save. He's realised as that ball's coming across his 6-yard box that it's not rolling on the floor, so he can have a higher position with his hands to give himself a chance to react anywhere in the top half of his body or higher. He's going to use his frame, legs, body to save anything lower if he has to. But if his hands are not in the mid to high position as he's travelling across the goal there, this goes through him. But for any young goalie or any goalie watching, look at the head position as Wood contacts the ball. The hand positions are high. He's brave. He's spreading with his right foot, left foot, but his hands are in an unbelievable position to make the high save, but his head's still. He's looking at that ball and he's got strong hands to get a real block on it. But look, everything's there.
It's so good, isn't it?
It's so good.
It's the head position is the big bit because the head position moves everything, right? If I move my head to the side and get afraid that the ball might hit me in my nuts, if I do that and move to the side, everything goes with it. My shoulders go with it, my hands go with it. I become a much smaller target, don't I?
And
much smaller target.
You open the goal up because you come inside it and you're not in control of what you're seeing.
Yeah.
This, for any level of goalkeeping, and when you talk about detail, we talk about what does a goalie need to have. Well, he needs to have speed and agility to get across the goal. He's got to understand it's a volley, so the ball's probably going to be higher rather than lower. So he's got a fantastic hand position. But for anybody watching, at whatever level you play at, if you don't keep your eye on the ball, on contact, it doesn't matter. You're not going to play at any level.
You would not believe the amount of goalkeepers that in this position here, as soon as that player is about to hit the ball, will close their eyes. I've seen so many players, right? I'm talking top level, top level, right? As soon as that ball leaves Chris Wood's feet, they close their eyes because it's human nature. It's that kind of, I want to shy away from it. What Jordan does is he makes sure he keeps his eyes on exactly where it's going, gets his hands in that position there, and that's when his head can start to move back because he can get a bit more purchase and he can lift his arms a bit higher. That's why his head goes back eventually anyway. But I love the way that even his right foot, his right leg,
he's spread and being as big as he can.
It's brilliant.
But normally if you sink with your hands there, as you're chasing across the goal, you've got to realise it's a volley, and if you're sinking and getting lower there, and on that same action, if my hands are here, that ball just goes past my face.
Straight there, through there.
In the goal.
And can we have a big shout out for James Tarkowski as well, by the way, because he was one as well, alongside Jordan Pickford, who was willing to take one exactly where it hurts.
And you got
hit me in my face, hit me in my nuts. I do not care. I want to stop this ball going in the back of the net.
But that game's 1-0 at that point.
Oh, it's massive.
And that's what all the work on the training ground's for. And they will have done hours of quick work across the goal, but then that reflex save, that brave save, head and hand position. There's a lot of work gone into making that save, and in the end, that might keep Everton in the Premier League.
Exactly that. We've got one more Wildy save to show you. It actually comes from, and this is the reason why I want to show this goal, Watto. This for me is the save of the weekend because we're playing on a massive stage here. It's the FA Cup semi-final. It's at Wembley. You're 1-0 down. You've made what we think is a little bit of a mistake for the first goal. And then Marcus Rashford walks onto a ball, absolutely levers it, full pout, and you produce this.
Yeah. And I think this is one for everybody watching the show. Look, at whatever level you play at, we can talk about the detail of us cutting down the first goal and how Bradley would have wanted to do a little bit better. But in some ways, you're going to make worse mistakes than that. People are not going to see that always as a mistake, but you're going to make a mistake that everybody in the stadium sees and knows straight away it's a goalkeeping mistake. But the key to being a top goalkeeper or wanting to play in goal and wanting to be different is the fact that when you've made a mistake or you think you've made half a mistake, it's living for that next moment.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what he will have worked for all week. He will have definitely known Man United are going to get in behind him. He'd have definitely known their wingers will come inside.
Cutbacks, first-time shots.
First-time finishers. And here, we talked about earlier in the show, Paddy Kenny's body shape. Look at Bradley's position here. He's set, weight above his knees, shoulders. He's in a perfect position to make the save. And ultimately, this is sharp. But because he's planted, set, he can be dynamic, use his agility. You can still see there, the ball's nearly through him. That's how powerful these shots are. And he's given himself every chance by being in the perfect position. And he gets a great top hand on it. You see his spring and agility. Oh, the goalkeeping gods are on his side. It touches.
Look at this here. Look at this little image here where he's made the save. Look at his body position in the air. Keep it going, Jamie. Keep it going, Jamie. Look at this there. Oh, my gosh. That is the sort of picture, Bradley, that if you can get somebody to have freeze-framed that, take a still image of you in goal at Wembley making that top-hand save, stick it on your wall, mate. Stick it above your bed, in fact.
And get Rashford to sign it and say, unlucky.
Unlucky, mate. World-class save. Top-hand saves. Just a bit of a word on the top-hand save because a lot of people, they don't like the top-hand saves, do they? No, there's a time and a place for it, like here.
There's a time and a place for it there, and he's got so little reaction time. And if he doesn't see the ball until it's past the defender's shoulder and he has to use the top hand to come across it, there's no problem with it. But really, really well done on making an incredible save on the biggest stage and after potentially having a moment that you'd like to forget, because you'll know as well as everybody else that you could have done a little bit better, but then you keep your team in the game.
And then went on to the penalty shootout, the first penalty as well from Casemiro, to have the balls to stand up against somebody like Casemiro. Fair play. Really impressed with Bradley Collins at the weekend. His distribution was absolutely fantastic. He didn't look out of place. That was the bit for me. And like I say, to bounce back from that early mistake, put in the performance he did, it was just a shame Coventry couldn't go on and nick a result, because what an atmosphere, mate. Honestly, what an atmosphere. Incredible. Boom, Watto, that's your lot.
Keeper's Corner. Keep it coming.
Keep it coming. Hope you enjoyed it. As usual, get in the comments down below. Let us know what you think. We love doing these videos. We hope you enjoy them too. We'll see you next week for more savable goals and some worldie saves as well. We love a worldie save.